Mr. Secretary, DOE strategy is built on the premise that states will volunteer to host interim storage or a repository facility. Your testimony mentions reports that, and I'm quoting your testimony, a number of communities are exploring the possibility of hosting a consolidated storage facility. So the question is, what states have indicated interest in hosting a facility?
First, I want to clarify, Mr. Chairman, that of course, at this stage, we are not engaging in any kind of negotiations or anything of that type. However, there have been a number of public reports, and in fact, one county has in fact passed a resolution expressing interest. Based also upon the experiences in Europe, we believe there are reasons for optimism that we can have.
So we don't have states that have shown interest right now, nor do we have governors or U.S. senators who are making a pitch for their state to be considered.
Well, it's certainly premature for any so-called pitch, because right now we don't have even the authorities to move forward.
Well, no, it's not unlikely with the Blue Ribbon Commission and with the statements by this administration for states to have come forward and tried to organize their own political support with the governor's office and their sitting senators to be making this pitch that we would consider it. I mean, there's nothing in law that says they can't start trying to mobilize public support in their state for following up on this proposal, is there?
Well, no, and again, as I've said, there have been certainly reports in the media.
But you can't tell us of any states which have done that initial work, other than this one county and some states.
Well, one county that's in Texas. I mean, it was public. A public resolution was passed. Recently, there were media reports, which I have not attempted to any way confirm, but they were statements made in Mississippi. There have been a number of statements made. But again, until we have the authorities can put out a request for proposals, and I think, frankly, our position to provide some technical support for developing the information for potential communities, I think it would be premature, frankly.
It seems to me that a majority of these siting efforts end up with local communities supporting a facility, maybe this county, and state-level officials opposing it. In fact, if I remember, the history of Yucca Mountain was the State General Assembly passed a resolution in support of the initial siting of Yucca Mountain. So we also have, you know, Nye County versus Nevada, private fuel storage versus Utah, and your your written testimony mentions consent-based areas that might be successful, i.e. Sweden and Finland, but you fail to mention England, a consent-based approach that the Blue Ribbon Commission touted, and what happened to that consent-based approach?
These are tortuous paths, and
so it was not successful.
We will.
So I mean, my point is, what makes you believe that another consent-based approach somewhere in this country is not going to end up 30 years later in $15 billion in the hole, just like we have right now at Yucca Mountain?
Well, again, I think look, we all know all of these issues around nuclear waste take time. One example that, you know, it's not a high-level waste repository, but
which is a lot different than what we're talking about.
But in WIP, with the Transuranic facility, we did have a similar situation with the state, and now we have a very successful.
But I have a personal knowledge of a U.S. senator who fought against that as the Attorney General, who's now a sitting U.S. senator from that state. So
yes.
We better be careful. I think this illusion that this consent-based approach is going to be panacea, I'm not sure is supported by the facts.